just joined.
We have a quorum, right? So we'll start
We do.
off with our flag salute. That's what I have. Who'd like to start off with it? Justin? Aye.
Pledge
Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the United States of
United
America,
States of America,
and to the
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation.
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
wrong. Hi, Mr. Katz.
Amen.
Hello. Hi,
Hey,
Okay. And
everybody.
Okay. Anita?
Oh, yes, adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the provisions of the Senator Byron M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act. By notice published in both the Asbury Park Press, the Newark Star Ledger, and filed at the Lakewood Township Municipal Clerk, and posting of same on the Lakewood Township website. I'd like to take a roll call for attendance.
Please.
Mr. Calabro, Mr. Flansbrough, Mr. Halverson,
Here.
Mr. Katz,
Here.
Mr. Schuster, Mr. Stafford Smith, Mr. Kirschner,
here.
and hi, Mike.
Hi,
How are you feeling?
good.
Good. Okay. Minutes. So we
The
distributed
minutes,
minutes for
go ahead.
two of the months, August and September. And hopefully some of you or all of you had a chance to read them and refresh your memories on the discussions of those meetings.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I'll second. Aye.
That's an all in favor. Yeah.
Days, none.
I'll abstain because I wasn't here by some of those minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anita, statement of accounts.
Payment of accounts basically reflects the monies that we've received, bill lists that we've authorized, we paid out. Interest earned is terrible, it's 0.20%. Just looking, for you to give an overview of our financial situation. And I'm just looking for acceptance.
I'll move to accept the statement of accounts.
I'll second, Justin.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Days, none. Okay, accept.
The bill list reflects mostly statutory expenses in the operations account, which is the industrial commissions account. You know that we have the League of Municipalities. We've registered 3 members to attend. It is the alarm monitoring for the T hangers, or legal services, which are statutory, so office supplies. The Walter Earl Group is the park and ride project. It's materials that we're paying for a proportion of that we've received. And on the apartments, you do see that there's a large invoice, and that has to do with emergency repairs and other repair matters that have come up. I do have a breakdown for you if you really want it. I do have a breakdown for you. Lakewood Airport, well, most of it is fuel.
Yeah, it was a banner year, pun intended, but really an incredible demand culminating in the Labor Day weekend. For the first time, we actually ran out of fuel and had to go to an emergency supplier because the ports were empty. And so we had to find somebody that had extra fuel that could actually come in and supply some. That's why you see another provider, the AV Fuel Corporation. That's what that was about. Everything else is kind of standard, regular expenses that we have there. Any questions? Okay.
I'll move to approve to pay the bills that are found to be correct.
I'll second, Justin.
On roll call,
The roll call on that, please.
Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Katz,
Yeah.
Mr. Schuster, no, he's not here.
No.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes, all except I'll abstain on the item of 4078.
thank you. Okay,
Okay. no presentation, and I'll just give you a quick update on a couple of things. As I said, the airport closed out an incredibly active year, and that's great. We saw a lot of growth in some of the club activities. Certainly, the banner towers had a good year, I think, and we've seen quite a lot of community support, people coming out and participating, or at least coming out to view, use the picnic tables that we put out there, and that bodes well for the projects that we have pending to actually enhance the airport further. Hopefully in this off-season, we can make progress on a number of those projects so that by the time the next season rolls around, it'll be evident to all the kind of things that are coming. As far as the park and ride is concerned, just this morning I met out there with some of the senior people from Public Works and one of our commissioners so that we could finalize what needs to be done in terms of final tamp down of the materials that are there and designating the various sectors of that parking lot for smaller vehicles versus trucks that may be able to come in there or would need to come in there. And so the final work should be done fairly soon. And I'm continuing to work with the Township attorney on final form of the ordinance that will govern that park and ride. So hopefully we'll have an approval in place by the time we meet again. So I will, of course, keep you posted on all of that. Everything else I have is related to executive session matters. Question?
I have a question on the park and ride.
Yes, sir.
Will it always be first come, first serve, or will people be able to reserve spots?
So that's an excellent question. That's one of the things that we're trying to build in is, especially given that the park and ride is meant to be an enabler for us to reintroduce on-street parking restrictions throughout the park. And certainly in that area where it's located, there are a number of businesses that are overflowing their banks. And so you have cars parking on the street and it obstructs truck traffic and so on. And so we're designing into that ordinance a provision that will allow us to take a portion of that lot and make it available for reserved spots where we lease it out to those companies. Not so much a revenue producer. It's not going to be like, Manhattan buying, leasing spots in the parking garage, but really as an enabler where we can enable those businesses to get cars off the street. There may also be an opportunity for us to facilitate a shuttle service from there for some of the event places we have in schools or other buildings in the park, where in the nighttime they're holding events and again, they're overflowing their parking lots, and that's spilling out into the streets and again obstructing industrial and commercial traffic. So there's a few details yet to be worked out, and that's kind of the stuff that we're working through so that when it's open, everybody understands what slot they fit in, literally.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Steve, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Where are we on the parking on the streets in the park?
So again, as I was just saying, so we are prepared to move forward, and we've had those discussions with the Township Committee and others about how to reintroduce ordinances, but we're still waiting for the park and ride to officially open, because then you're at least giving the commuters that do casually park in different places in the park a place to go. And whoever it is, wherever we're going to restrict parking, we're basically going to be at least offering people on the front end, there's an alternative for you. It's right along our bus route. We had a discussion about maybe placing a bus shelter there to make it easy for the bus stop along the whatever the shuttle bus is called now, the L or the Job Link, or that bus goes through the park, and if people need to use that bus as a way to get around or as a central gathering point, the park and ride lot will lend itself very nicely to that.
Okay.
As of right now, the Lakewood bus thing doesn't go through the park, does it?
Sure it does. Yeah,
Does, okay.
that's its primary function, is to shuttle workers to the park from parts
There'll
of
be a
town.
stop at the parking ride, right?
That's what we're talked about doing. So
Right.
not in place yet, because the park and ride didn't exist, but we're gonna look to do that. Any other questions? Nothing else. Okay, I'm gonna just help along here and jump down a couple of lines. Then if I might impose on you to just quickly brief the two items that came up in the site review committee.
You wanted it for me, or you want it just from Justin?
Yeah, do you want to do it? You can do it. Those two, just, kind of a
Yes.
short
There were
synopsis
two
of the two.
items that were requested for a site review. One was site plan number 2351, and what that is that was Worthington Biochemical, and they had decided to downsize their original plan from the 2019 plan that we sent a letter of no objection to. So they're reducing their plan scope, and our board felt that there was really they had no objection to downsizing of it at this time.
Okay.
The other one was subdivision 2500, which is a subdivision of a large lot in the area of Pine Street, Avenue of the Americas, Avenue of the States, I believe.
Yeah.
And the subdividing it, it's only a site plan for subdivision. The two lots are conforming in acreage. And street frontage, I think they're conforming. There is one front yard on Pine Street, but somehow I don't believe that is going to be an entrance and exit to any one of those. But of course, that's neither. There's a little variation. So it's just a subdivision from one lot into two conforming lots.
Okay. Yeah, and we had no objection. Okay. Thank you. The next committee that met was the Park Control Signs Committee. Hal and I, along with Greg, we met out at the Park and Ride to look at what we might do there, and certainly, that's going to be a really important project because of the signage, basically to direct people properly into that resource so that they're in there properly. And then probably signage within the resource itself is going to be important. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to kind of figure out some of our objectives with signage there, so that we can try and replicate it in other places of the park, whether it's for wayfinding or other information that we want to be able to convey. It was a good meeting, and we're going to continue to follow that up, and then hopefully, as the Park and Ride goes into operation, we'll be able to get a good sign up there to service it. Anything to say on that?
Nope, that's not it.
Okay.
You didn't buy me coffee, though.
Okay, I owe you. The Strand Subcommittee did not meet this month, but we have had contact from the Strand Ventures people. Again, the lease renewal is coming up, and so there's just some proposals about tightening up some elements there, which I'm sure will come to the board probably by next meeting.
Steve, I have someone on the closed session.
Okay. Okay. Marketing and public relations. Do we have Mrs. Kirshner nearby?
Marketing and public relations just got a phone call, so she'll be
okay.
submitted.
So we'll pause a minute. Any comments from the public? Anita, did we have any emails? I didn't see any emails or correspondence.
There's no emails. No, there's no emails, and there was no hard mail at the Public Works yesterday.
Okay. All right.
All right, you want to do it?
Okay.
Public relations is here.
Okay, sorry, I had a phone call.
No worries.
We're moving ahead. Bob and I go to the airport every day. It is so busy. If you haven't been, you must go and see all the planes take off, land, and all the community members who go there. I continue to send out any press releases I can about the wonderful things that are happening in our town. And if you have anything, you should definitely get it to me. The Strand Theater is open. They have a mask mandate in place for the protection of people who go there
Everybody.
and for the protection of everybody. All right. So anything else you want to
And
ask?
you also, you put out a bit of PR about the upcoming JBiz, which will happen, I think,
Yeah.
our next meeting.
That we're getting another call. That you just
All right.
the JBiz Expo is November the 3rd, and the Lakewood Industrial Commission is one of the sponsors. There are people coming from around the globe and locally. There's a Meet the Mayors panel. There's all kinds of panel discussions. If you didn't get my press release, let me know and I'll resend it to you because it's totally outstanding event.
Very good.
Thank you for reminding me about that.
No worries. Okay.
Thank
There are no current resolutions, but there may be after we come out of executive, since there are some items that I have in there that may result in action. So even if there's no formal resolutions being presented now, we may ask for some motions from the floor, which we will memorialize later if they come through. So for now, I would ask for a motion to go to closed session.
Move we go to closed session.
We have a second.
Al.
Second by Albert.
All in favor, go into closed session.
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to read the resolution into the minutes. Whereas Section 7B of the Senator Byron M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under circumstances. And whereas this Industrial Commission of the Township of Lakewood is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Industrial Commission of the Township of Lakewood in the County of Ocean as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of private and confidential matters involving any of the 9 exclusions as set forth in Section 7B of said law and as hereinafter specified. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: contract negotiations and litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public only when the reasons for discussing and acting on them in closed session no longer exists. Said determination will be made by further resolution adopted by the Industrial Commission. This resolution shall take effect immediately, and the time is 11:54 a.m.
Okay, give it a second. I'm going to start the breakout session and pause the stream. Hold on. Hey, Eddie. Okay, so we all here? Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would ask, as a result of our discussions in the closed session, one of the items was for a project that's been here before about the contract to sell the 17 acres east of the Parkway, which will also facilitate the township's objective of providing a home for the family food relief from Shabbos with a facility on a portion of that property. So we're this close to the finish line with that, and I would ask that the board, which has seen near finished product of the contract, to authorize me, along with our attorney, to finalize that contract and execute it so that they can move forward with beginning to build that facility. So I need somebody to offer a resolution to that effect, and then we can do a formal memorialization of that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move that.
Thank you.
Second it.
On roll call,
Please.
Mr. Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Hal?
He said yes twice.
Yeah, he's still on
okay,
mute.
yeah, no, I'm looking down, okay, sorry.
yes.
Mr.
There we go.
Katz,
I'll abstain. I'll abstain.
Mr. Schuster. Yes. Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner. Is he here? Bob, yes? No?
He said yes.
Yes.
He's also mute.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then the next item is in relation to the public-private partnership, the pending deal with Mr. Ingber that we had a presentation on at last meeting. We've engaged a number of advisors to hopefully advise us on the final product in terms of assessing some of the underlying assumptions as well as advising on the structure of the deal. So I would ask for two separate resolutions. One to engage Remington and Vernick, our engineers, to assess the underlying assumptions in terms of construction costs that are proposed in that proposal that we've been given. And I believe they had a not to exceed number. If somebody would like to offer that with a not to exceed number.
Yep, so moved.
I'll make the motion to not exceed the 10,000.
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, this is for Remington Vernick?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I thought we were doing Holman first. Okay, yeah, I'll second.
Okay. So we have Hal Overson, Justin. Okay, Anita, please roll call on that one.
Yes, that's 10,000, okay.
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Yes,
Mr. Katz,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster. Thank you. Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes, he said yes.
I think he's muted.
Okay.
gotcha.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, and then the last one is for Holman Frenier Allison, our auditor who also does business consulting. And this is up their alley. I've actually had a meeting with one of the senior partners and the partner who does the business structure consulting. And this would be for them to advise us on the structure of the deal, the way it's structured, some of the elements of it, basically, make sure that we're stepping right. This is a fairly complex deal. So
Make the motion that we approve the expenditure Holman and Farina not to exceed 7,500.
thank you.
I'll second.
Okay.
Enter your access code.
All right, Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
yes,
yes. Mr. Katz,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster. Thank you. Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes,
Thank you.
Enter your
Okay.
followed by pound. If you do not know your
What else do we have, Bob? Comments from the commissioners?
comments from the commissioners. Anybody from the commissioners?
no,
Aye. I
Okay.
have nothing at this time.
All right. We can get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn.
Yep, I'll move.
Mr. Flansbrough.
Anybody second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Thank you. We're there.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.